Well, that's not super fun. If you're a Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan, is it, friends? What is up, mi amigos? It is the college football national championship halftime extravaganza. I am Rob Brown, host of the Rob Brown Show on the Fan, upstate in Greenville, South Carolina. I would ordinarily at this point introduce my partner in crime, my executive producer and noted fan of the Ohio State Buckeyes, the great one, Lonzo. But Lonzo, I have no doubt at this point, is probably white-knuckling the sides of his recliner right now, if I had to guess. And I only say that and I only know that because his lovely wife, Miss Lisa, is in here. Shout out, Miss Lisa. Congrats on your Buckeyes first half. A lot of football left to go in this one. This is going to be interesting, man. This is going to be interesting. And I see you guys over in the chat. I promised I'm going to be coming to your chats here in a little while as the show progresses, or whatever we're calling this little fun fest that we're putting on here. Sent out a couple of invites. We'll see if anybody wants to pop by and talk some collegiate football with us. But I don't know what to say, man. Like, there's a couple of storylines right out of the gate I think we got to get to. And I don't think there's one that we need to spend more time on now than the fact that apparently, and I don't know if this is like planned or an accident or what, but I think possibly, potentially, maybe Notre Dame forgot to teach how to tackle. I think that might be a mild issue up there in South Bend, Indiana, because I got to tell you, I keep notes about the game as we go because I'm a professional. Slide by slide, drive by drive, I keep notes of what's happening when who's got the ball and blah, 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 blah. And I can't tell you how many times I have written the words broken tackle times 2 about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and that is a big-time problem. Hey, speaking of one of those guests, we were talking about this, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you familiar with the Rob Brown Show in Greenville, South Carolina, who maybe haven't gotten a chance to spend much time with the product that we put together with the BetQL Network, as a young man, I have had the pleasure of sharing the airwaves with on that nationally syndicated network many, many times. And he's going to join us on the stream because it's 9:13 tonight. We're watching football and drinking a little whiskey. Colby Marcio, what's up, you handsome devil? Welcome in, buddy.
Rob, if you put that cowboy hat on, I had to come. There was no if and buts about it. That I saw it the first time you put that on. I was like, that guy gets it. That guy just gets it. It fits you so well, too.
All about the brand, baby. Got to keep listening. There are 2 things that say brand better than anything. Number one is the fact that I've gotten the video of The Undertaker and Stone Cold Steve Austin drinking wine together like 15 times because I'm old but still immature. And then this, if you're going to have a brand, Colby, like, this is a good way to start it.
Pal. I mean, the cookie duster up here. I mean, I got that. You got the cowboy hat. It works. It all works.
If we put your mustache and my cowboy hat together, we'd be like 1/3 of the cast of Tombstone at this point.
You just put the cowboy hat and the mustache, and you got a sexy logo.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. All right, Big Dog, let's talk a little bit about this game. And I've got drive by drive. We can go by and look down that opening drive by Notre Dame, 18 plays, 75 yards, 9 minutes and 45 seconds. And I got to tell you, bud, as somebody who took Ohio State to cover, as somebody who took the under 45.5, I was like, oh bleep, this might not go great. But since then, Notre Dame has gone 3 plays, 5 yards, a minute 14. 3 plays, 1 yard, a minute 15, and then that 2-play run out the clock. We went from a drive that went almost 10 minutes to open this game to back-to-back 3-and-outs that took less than a minute and a half. What the hell?
The opening drive, I was like, this is the sexiest opening drive Notre Dame could have possibly had. And I was like, okay, it's going to happen. It's what I expected. Everyone said it was going to be really easy for Ohio State, and Notre Dame is just crafting up the best opening script ever. And I was tempted to just hedge my minus 130 future that I got on Ohio State 2 weeks ago. And I'm glad I didn't, because it's happening. It's Ohio State is the better team. It's just pure dominance. And I kind of hate that. I wanted it to be tight, but I don't unless they're going to have another perfect script out the gate in the second half, it's going to be pretty ugly. It's going to look like TCU, Georgia.
It kind of feels at this point, like I feel, despite the fact that we are halfway there already, we're right on pace for where that over-under marker is set. Like my thought coming into this, and I put this up on my show earlier this week, Colby Marcio, and I think it's kind of what I thought was going to happen, though maybe not the way I thought it was going to happen. My theory on the under bet in this game was Ohio State jumps out to a halftime lead. And in the second half, we just bog the game down, right? You're going to get a buttload of Henderson. You're going to get a buttload of Judkins. We're going to be a buttload of design runs for Will Howard. And I would like to say that that is the case here, but let's not sit here and pretend like Will Howard's not 14 of 15 for a $144 and 2 tutties. Like, it's almost like even if you want to bog the game down, I kind of can't justify it until Will Howard makes a mistake, because the dude is damn not. I have been calling these playoffs, Colby. I have been calling these playoffs the Will Howard FU America tour because of how well he's playing. And the final stop is Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, I said all playoff long with the college football playoffs that loss to Michigan was the best thing that ever happened to this Ohio State team. They're on a whole nother level. They turned it up an entire notch. They ripped the knob out of the wherever it's plugged into, because they are a completely different animal than what we saw in the regular season. And I'm just thinking about, if you take away Notre Dame's first drive, they stink. They look terrible. There's no redeeming their drive, anything on defense that they've done. They've let Ohio State do whatever they want, just like we predicted. At least I thought, everyone else thought that.
Yeah, no, listen, again, like, I don't know. There's not much we have to say. 17 or 18 plays, 75 yards, 9-minute 45 seconds. The next true drives, 3 plays for -5 yards in a minute and 49, 3 plays for 1 yard in a minute and 15. In fact, the only reason this game is, I'm going to use these words and I'm going to air quote so hard, I'm going to pull a finger here, Colby, as close as it is because Notre Dame burned up damn near an entire quarter with their first drive alone, which took time away from the Buckeyes to put up another one. I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, this game is, and I don't want to be exaggerative, and I don't want to go over the top with one single half of performance. So walk me back if I'm over the line here, pal. But it feels to me like Notre Dame's just not ready. They're just not there. Ohio State, we said coming in, was the better team. I went ahead and went with the 8.5. I figured that line was going to be playing with 9, maybe flirting 10. I took the 8.5, and I got to tell you, like, I feel better about the spread than I do the under, because Ohio State might get there by them damn selves if they let Will Howard keep doing what he's been doing.
So I took, like I mentioned, I took Ohio State -130 before they beat Texas, because I'm like, I saw the look ahead line. It was -8.5, 9.5, where it is now, or when it opened for this game. And I'm like, I know they're going to beat Texas. I'm going to just not worry about it and take basically Ohio State money line for this game. And I still thought it was going to be too much of a number. They look terrible, dude. I knew Notre Dame was going to have a hard time with Ohio State, because they had a hard time with Penn State, and Penn State doesn't have half the offense Ohio State has, and Ohio State is just that times 2. They're the best team, and no one's even close. Notre Dame is probably the second best team, but they don't look like it.
No, they don't. They don't. Honestly, and I'll tell you this, and here was the hot take, and I'm going to give you the hot take about the semifinal game, the Notre Dame Penn State game, Colby Marcia, because I think we're kind of seeing something. I may very well have to give some damn flowers to Ryan Day at this. I have said a couple of times, and stop me if there's any point you disagree with what I'm saying.
I will.
Penn State in the first half of that game against Notre Dame. Penn State was, to me, throwing everything they had. They said, we're going to take Riley Leonard from you as a runner. If Riley Leonard's going to beat us, he's going to beat us with his arm. We are not letting him run the football. Notre Dame was bringing 5. They were bringing 6. They were loading the box. They were staying wildly aggressive. And then, for whatever reason, James Franklin made the fatal mistake that so many college football coaches has made, which is you find yourself in a good spot and you stop doing the things that put you in a good spot. You quit dancing with the girl who brought you, thinking that another girl will give you a chance, and you end up going home sad and alone. Penn State pulled off the defensive philosophy that got into Riley Leonard's head, which is why Notre Dame had 100 yards, less than 100 yards of offense in the first half, and then 261 yards of offense in the second half. For a frame of reference, ladies and gentlemen, Penn State was giving up 268, I believe, yards per game all season. They gave up 261 in the second half to Notre Dame. Why? Because they quit doing what they did that made it successful. If you go back and you watch that opening drive, And I don't know if this is because the Buckeyes were playing rope-a-dope because Ryan Day's a genius or because they went the exact opposite. Whoa, that didn't work. Let's fix it. Ohio State blitzed very, very little on that opening drive. They were bringing 4. A couple of times they brought 3. If I recall correctly, I think they only brought more than 4 one time. And even when they did, it was a walked-up edge rusher. It wasn't really like a surprise. I think they let Riley Leonard get very comfortable. And again, that's why I think like it's almost crazy enough that I'm wondering if this was the game plan, Colby. It's like they let Leonard get comfortable in the pocket in that first drive, let the run start to develop a little bit, and Notre Dame took it down the field. Maybe it's going to cost them. Took it down the field and scores. Go back and look at the second time Notre Dame had the ball. We're putting 6 in the box. We're bringing 5. We're bringing 6. We're bringing guys from the safety. All of a sudden, and granted, they didn't have to do it a lot because both of the next 2 possessions were 3 and outs, but all of a sudden, the fangs came out, the ears went back on the Buckeye defense. They started getting to Riley Leonard's ass, and he looked panicked, bud. He's overthrowing crossing routes that are wide open. He's got guys on the sideline, and he's throwing it into row G, section 125. Like, he kind of started to panic a little bit, and I almost wonder if that was maybe a bit of a setup from the Buckeye defense, because if it was, like Einsteinian levels of play calling.
I think it's funny that we were giving James Franklin flowers for a minute there, and then we have to give a guy who does the exact same thing that James Franklin does, which is choke, flowers as well. Because Ryan Day and James Franklin are the biggest chokers in college football as of right now until he gets the job done. But, yeah, you make a really good point. I was like, they're either going to continue their dominance or Ohio State's going to correct themselves, and they did everything you just said. I really hope I'm really just hoping for the second half is just a lot better. It has to. And I hated the TCU Georgia national championship. It sucks when they're blowouts. That's the only thing I can't stop thinking about. You're talking about loading the box. I'm over here thinking, oh, am I going to want to watch the second half?
I mean, listen, it's hard not to. I'll go ahead and I'll pull up some of the stats here. I'll throw the team stats from the ESPN page up here for you. Here's what we're looking at so far. Over on the left, you see the quarterback stats. Will Howard, 14 of 15, $144 and 2 touchdowns. Riley Leonard, 5 of 9 for 46 yards. On the ground, Trevion Henderson leads the Buckeyes, 7 carries, 37 yards. Riley Leonard leads the Irish, 10 carries, 39 yards, and 1 touchdown. And let's be real clear about that one, Colby. That's one of the other things that I wonder if this is maybe impactful. Riley Leonard took that team on his back on the opening drive that went those 18 plays. Riley Leonard got the ever-loving hell beat out of him on that drive too, and he looked a lot more tentative with the football on drive 2 and 3. Like, there were a couple of spots I thought maybe he was going to put it down and get after it, but he really didn't. I'm almost kind of wondering if the amount of contact he took on that opening drive either had Marcus Freeman saying, yo, we need to like ease up on the designed runs here, or if it's got Riley Leonard to a point where he's like, yo, bleep that, coach. I'm not doing that crap again.
Yeah, they definitely need to get Price or Love involved. They got both, combined 5 carries, 12 yards. That's pathetic. Those are 2 guys that you've leaned on all season. You can't have it be Leonard the entire game. It's just foolish. And him leading leading Notre Dame in rush yards also is insane to me. Get the 2 guys that have been carrying this team on the ground all season long the ball. I was thinking Love was going to have a big game. Maybe that 2-yard run against Penn State really got to me because that was just the sexiest thing ever with the whole Penn State defense on his back. But I'm really disappointed in the run game, which is something they lean on heavily. You got to give them the ball. Run the damn ball.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Run the damn ball. Look, here's another number. This is always one of the first numbers I try to go look at when you've got a game like this to see if it plays into it. Third downs, the Buckeyes are 6 of 6. Listen, I talked about it a little bit before I brought you on, Colby. I don't know how many times I've written the words Notre Dame missed tackle times 2.
I heard you say that. It was on Twitter too. Everyone's talking about it. The Notre Dame fans are saying this is the worst they've ever seen the defense look all season.
So here's where it does get interesting, because we have both been saying, like, let's hope the second half looks better or else. And don't get me wrong, as somebody who's got to wake up at 3:30 in the morning to run a morning sports show because we keep playing national championship games on Monday night because this country can't get anything together. So I got to wake up after watching this thing all night.
But TikTok's back, Rob. But TikTok's back.
Dude, I wish I could TikTok my 4-hour show tomorrow at 6 a.m., pal, but here we are. Here's what's interesting. This is very similar to what Notre Dame had happen in that last game. Under 100 yards in the first half, but they came back and put up almost 265 in the second half. But to me, it's going to be real simple. It's going to be this number right here, this rushing yards per rush right there. I said coming into this game, if Riley Leonard's yards per carry is below 3.75, 4, somewhere in that range, Notre Dame did not have a chance to win. I did not think I'd have to say that about Notre Dame's entire rushing game. And the fact that they're not getting 3 at this point, and also Riley Leonard has got 46 passing yards. Like, it's just not good enough here. And again, I will have some time in the second half to figure out and determine, is that because Ryan Day is bleeping the bed, or excuse me, is that because Ryan Day is a genius, or because Marcus Freeman is bleeping the bed on this one? I think we'll know within the first drive or two of the second half.
Thoughts and prayers for that offense. Thoughts and prayers. Sometimes we know more ball, I guess. I'm just astonished. I'm looking at the numbers right now at the rush yards and stuff. Just 5 yards of carry for Price, and then Love is just not anything right now.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
It's got to be, and I was worried about that. Like, if anyone out there bet any of his props out there that you can't, because I know in some states you can't. Like, your biggest concern was Love looking like how he did against Indiana if you take out the 98-yard rush, and then Georgia. And it's looking like those two games I was worried about. He's not doing anything. It's going to be a Price game. This one, I knew it was going to be a Price game because I was on Love so much.
Well, here's the thing, man. Like, you're talking about it's going to be a Price game. They have 5 combined carries. Not 5 apiece. 5. They have 5 combined carries.
Yeah.
You know, and here's again, look, this is kind of what I was. This is kind of what I was driving at. Like, here's Leonard's getting that 3.9 number that I brought up, right? Like I said, he's got to get to 3.754 per carry to get there. And he's doing that for you. The problem is, you've run the ball 5 times with not right. Riley Leonard has twice as many carries as everybody else on your team does combined at this point, and those two guys combined are sitting on what we're looking at 12 combined yards between 5 carries. So they're, I mean, again, I'm real bad at math. And you've leaned on all my
ground game all year long. I don't get that.
I don't. This is, again, like I'm not gonna put this on him as like a thing we're gonna carry on after this game, Colby, but like, Marcus Freeman is treading dangerously into James Franklin territory right now, right? Like, this is the spot where you go, dude, you have clenched up tight enough to turn coal into diamonds, if you get my drift.
I've wanted James Franklin gone for years. I don't know if he's there yet. I like Freeman too much. Notre Dame being likable is something I never thought I would experience in my 28 years of living as a Notre Dame hater, but I don't know. I would hate for him to be like Franklin, but seriously, give your team the damn ball. Yeah. Why is the quarterback doing everything and being forced to do everything here when Riley Leonard, no offense, isn't that good? He's not the sexiest quarterback. And Will Howard isn't either, but Will Howard looks like the sexiest piece of rear you've ever seen right now.
No, you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. Listen, I mean, you got a couple of things going for you here. Number one is that, again, and I've been calling it this all week, and I've said it on BetMGM tonight. I said it on Bet for the Cycle on Saturday. I've said it on the Rob Brown Show in Greenville. I've said it on every show I've done an interview on this week. This is the Will Howard Up Yours America tour right now. Like, this dude was getting hated on all year long. He was getting hated on after the Michigan game, which was entirely not his fault. And like, my man is just double birding the entire United States of America with this performance. And as long as you're getting that out of Will Howard, it doesn't, I mean, it certainly helps that TreVeyon Henderson is getting you 5.3 per carry. Will Howard, oh, by the way, he's also got 26 rushing yards and is averaging 4.5 a carry.
His rushes made sense. His rushes made sense. They were clearly, the holes were 15 men wide.
let me tell you what Will Howard is doing right now. As somebody who I actually like Riley Leonard because of that. Like Riley Leonard is the only reason Notre Dame is where they are right now, and that's within a couple of scores.
I like
right?
him too, but he's just not sexy right now.
No, not at all.
And he wasn't last game either.
No, he wasn't last game either.
The backup looked good.
He didn't again, like to me last week, he didn't really have to be once Penn State pulled off a little bit. Then it was just go play quarterback. And again, like the first drive, Ohio State played that Penn State second half defense of we're going to sit back and we're going to see if you're tight. We're going to see if you're wound up. We're going to see if you're nervous. Because Riley Leonard's never been on a stage this big, obviously. No. We're going to see if you're nervous, anxious, you got the anxiety flowing, whatever. And after drive one, they went, oh, this cat's not making mistakes. This cat is getting it done. Now let's walk up. Let's compress the box. Let's bring 4. Let's bring 5. Let's bring 6. Sometimes let's bring guys off the edge. Like let's throw looks at him. And Riley Leonard kind of got lost a little bit in that spot versus Will Howard, who is stepping up in the pocket, who is seeing the pressure exceptionally well. And I'll tell you what I saw Leonard do. There were 2 spots where the pressure came, and Riley Leonard had a guy on the second level, but his eyes come off the second level, Colby. He looks at the pressure, and then he looks at the one guy in the direction of that pressure, right? So he's not seeing a tight end who's running a 12-yard curl. He's seeing whoever's right there, and he's just missing them. And then there's Will Howard, who is seeing the pressure, sliding away from it, and then making a judgment. He's hit Judkins coming across the middle. I think it was Judkins earlier on their first drive where he had a guy who sprinted like he had the B button. You know the play I'm talking.
I didn't know if it was the second touchdown or the third. I guess sounds like the first one. He was just about to get killed, and he's just like,
yep. Like he's seeing these guys, but he's staying calm with the football and he's delivering it in the face of pressure. And when he recognizes, okay, if there's nobody open on that second or third level, that means there's nobody bubbling me. That means there's nobody covering me. And that's when Will Howard tucks it and goes, and he's not taking any chances, which I like about this. My brother, we are about to get back to the action. Any final thoughts you want from the first half?
Please, Notre Dame, come back and make this interesting. Am I rooting for my Ohio State to win by 1-6 ticket at like 600? You better believe it.
Colby Marchio, my man. Great to see you. You guys can and should follow Colby at C_Marchio, MARCHIO, the number 2. Brother, thank you for coming by, big dog. This is fun.
Rob, thank you. Anytime. I can't say no to you, especially when you got that hat on. Come on now.
We'll see how much you say that when we get the post-game report going, buddy. My man. Thank you, Colby.
Have a good one.
All right, to everybody else out there, thank you guys for dropping by. We are going to get back to the action. I will go live again at the post game with some quick thoughts. We will save a lot of it for tomorrow's show as well. But I appreciate y'all stopping by. Make sure you follow me across social media at The Rob Brown Show. Enjoy the second half. We'll see you after the game.